Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Zcrew Podcast. And today, on Friday, July 25th, 2025, we start today's episode with some breaking news. The Baltimore Orioles have traded right-handed relief pitcher Gregory Soto to the New York Mets in exchange for two minor league pitching arms. So, for those of you who've been following the Orioles this season, it's been pretty obvious that they desperately need minor league bullpen help, especially pitchers in general. So I think it's pretty good. They were able to get two pitchers in exchange for Gregory Soto, who's been very up and down this season. He did get his first save of the season last night against the Guardians, so pretty ironic that they had decided to trade him, the day after. But I'm very happy with this move, guys, because we got a 20-year-old pitcher and I think a 27-year-old pitcher. Both of these guys have been career minor league arms. They've never made their major league debuts yet, so they got in my mind, they got all the potential in the world, so I think it's going to be a great opportunity for them to come to the Orioles organization. And hopefully, by next year and the year before that, make some impact on this Orioles team. But that's not the point of today's video, guys. Today's video is a deep dive of the Atlanta Falcons of the NFC South Division. Now, guys, I don't think it was any surprise. Last season was very, very storyline heavy for the Falcons last year. Of course, they started last season by signing veteran quarterback Kirk Cousins to a huge contract, ended up giving him $100 million guaranteed, which is very insane. But at the time, it did seem like the right move because the Falcons very desperately needed a quarterback. The year before, they had Desmond Ridder, who was just simply not cutting it, and they did desperately need a quarterback. So they were kind of a little crazy because Kirk Cousins was, the best quarterback available last offseason, I guess, out of all the veterans. But Atlanta paid up, and at the time, again, it did seem like the right move to acquire Kirk Cousins. But then they shocked the entire NFL world by drafting Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington, number 9th overall in the 2023 NFL Draft. Very crazy move. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Pretty crazy, but you know what? At the end of the day, the Falcons did look pretty smart because after how Kirk Cousins played most of last season, they obviously needed another option. They got Michael Penix. So, brings me to my point of 2025 for the Falcons. We are going to see year 2 of Michael Penix Jr. and Raheem Morris. Now, I think for Michael Penix Jr. to have a full season, a full offseason of being the starter, full training camp being the starter, no kind of drama between who's taking the reps, Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix. Now, I will say it will be interesting to follow the Falcons along as training camp progresses because if Kirk Cousins does play very well, I could see a team maybe trying to acquire him, or the Falcons might even would consider cutting him. I'm not sure how they would hit their cap. That might not be the best idea. They probably will cost them a lot of money in dead cap if they were to cut Kirk Cousins, but I could see a team maybe needing a quarterback, wanting to possibly trade for Kirk. So I don't know what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins. But anyway, I think it's pretty obvious that Michael Penix Jr. is the guy going forward. I feel there's kind of a sense of buzz going on in the city of Atlanta right now. I don't think they've kind of had this feeling of a quarterback, really. Obviously, since Matt Ryan, he hasn't been their quarterback for over, 6-7 years now, it feels like. So I definitely feel that Atlanta is very excited about the future with this kid, Michael Penix Jr. And Michael Penix Jr. himself is very confident. I love the self-confidence, guys. He had some very interesting quotes this week at training camp. He told reporters, "We should be fine. We should be the best team in the league with these weapons we have." He says, "Just look at the guys we have on offense." Now, he's not wrong. I will say the Falcons have arguably a top 5 offensive room in general. They're skill players. They've spent multiple top 10 picks on skill players, including Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and don't even mention Tyler Algier, Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson are arguably one of the top running back duos in the entire NFL. You got Thunder and Lightning, basically Sonic and Knuckles with what the Lions have going with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. A very similar style running backs there, which is huge to have 2 of those guys in your backfield. But also, I'm expecting a big year out of Drake London. I think Drake London and, I'm going to say Kyle Pitts as well. Kyle Pitts has been very kind of underwhelming to start his career. I think you guys remember him coming out of Florida. Looked like he was going to be a generational tight end, kind of like what Brock Bowers was last year for the Raiders. But I think this year is a make-or-break year for Kyle Pitts. But I will say for Falcons fans, it does seem like Michael Penix and Kyle Pitts did seem to kind of build chemistry at the end of the season. Again, Michael Penix Jr. started. They didn't start him until week 16. He made some appearances, but he really didn't get a chance to play really until week 16. They gave Kirk a long leash. I mean, rightfully so, because, you're paying a guy $100 million. you kind of have to pay him. It doesn't make sense for him to be paid that much money to be on the sideline, right? You're just going to have to pay him. You're going to have to play him, see what he does. But it gets to a point where it's so bad that the team is obviously affecting the team, and they want to see what the young guys can do. So, they went on a bit of a run last season, but again, it just wasn't enough as the season was too close to being over. But again, it did look like Kyle Pitts and Michael Penix were kind of on the same page to start to end the season, which is great for Falcons fans, and who I know are very, very desperate and eager for Kyle Pitts to take that huge step forward. I think he can. He's got all the potential. I think he will for sure. But anyway, guys, the Falcons. The main thing about them is their defense has always been a bit of a question mark, especially pass rush. But they did have a great draft this year. So first, they had a very interesting draft as well this year. They drafted Jalen Walker, edge out of Georgia, drafted him number 15 overall. I think it's going to be a great fit for them. He's arguably one of the top defensive players available in the draft. They were able to get him at pick 15, so that's good for them. They also made one of the surprising trades of the entire draft night. They traded for James Pierce at pick number 26 out of Tennessee, and they gave a future first-round pick for James Pierce. So kind of, a bit of a risky move for if you ask me, giving up a future first-round pick for a guy who did have some character issues. That's kind of why he fell to pick 26. But, again, if it hits, I think it's going to be great for the Falcons. You get basically getting 2 first-round talent edge rushers on your defense. That's pretty good. So I think that should definitely improve the defense as well. They also signed free agent Leonard Floyd, a pretty good edge rusher, as well as Divine Diablo, another good linebacker, good cover linebacker from the Raiders. And also, they have a pretty sneaky good secondary with standout cornerback A.J. Terrell Jr. He's a great future Hall of Famer in my opinion. Also got Justin Simmons, pretty good safety. If the Falcons defense can put it together, I don't see any reason why they won't be able to win, probably win between 9 and 10 games this season. I really think they could compete, especially where they played against the Buccaneers last season. I think they could compete and arguably win the NFC South division, especially if Michael Penix starts off hot. If he really takes off this opportunity going, which he seems to think he does, if he starts off hot and they go on a run, I could see the Falcons potentially winning the NFC South. And I'm going to go with them. I really think this season is going to come down to, obviously, Michael Penix. If he can build that chemistry with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, also got Darnell Mooney on the outside, one of the most underrated players in the entire NFL. Darnell Mooney. You got him and Drake London on the outside, man. That's pretty scary. You also mentioned the running backs, two-headed monster of Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, and not to mention a pretty strong offensive line. They are missing a few spots on there. I'm sure they'll be able to get that figured out before the season starts, but pretty strong offensive line as well. So honestly, I don't see any reason why this team cannot, compete with the Bucs to potentially win the NFC South. So I'm going to have them finishing the season 10-7, and again, finishing first in the NFC South, Atlanta Falcons. I'm expecting big things out of Michael Penix Jr. year 2. Full season with him, full season with, Raheem Morris under head coach. So expecting big things out of the Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. The O's tonight have their Colorado Rockies. Got Dean Kramer against Kyle Freeland tonight at the Yard. I believe first pitch is at 7:05, so we'll be tuning in for that. But, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. And next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens coming up next, my team. Go O's, go Ravens. Peace. Hope you have a good one.